Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. We are running through a Monday slate of 6 games here. Nate, welcome back to the U.S., by the way. We will be looking at a few of the best bets that Nate and I have for these games here, as well as play a props in another video. So go ahead and like and subscribe to that page and continue to follow along. We also want you to head to thelines.com. The Super Bowl is coming up. Not sure if you knew that, next Sunday. So we have plenty of content all over the place, including NFL and plenty of NBA as well. Still, all the action continuing along here. Also want to make sure you use the odds finder tool that we have up there. That's where you can make sure that you're seeing all the odds in one place right in front of you to make sure you're getting the best juice back on all these bets that you are making in the NBA or NFL. One more game left this season. Nate, let's go ahead and run right into your first best bet for the NBA. We're talking about them Dubs and Nets.
Yeah, I know the Nets have been weird, but this is more about the Warriors just kind of finding a rhythm here and bouncing back with a win after the overtime loss in Atlanta. So Warriors plus 1.5 or the money line doesn't make much of a difference. Although, prior to that Atlanta game, they had a real string of close losses. Or I actually looked earlier when they had Draymond, 4 straight road losses in November, December by 3 points or fewer. So there is a chance they cover a very small number here without winning. But I mean, we're talking about the Nets they do have the second worst record in non-conference games, 7-13 at this point. The Dubs are 9-4 ATS as road dogs, so slight road dogs here. But I mean, let's look at a bit more of the numbers here. The fact that the Nets are allowing 42% from 3 in their last 3. They just allowed a monstrous assist-to-turnover ratio to Philly, a shorthanded Philly team, 5.2 assist-to-turnover. The Dubs, on the other side, allowing the third lowest assisted field goal ratio in their last 3. No Ben Simmons, no DFS on one side, no CP3, no Andrew Wiggins on the other. I don't, that doesn't seem to be a negative. That the Warriors are 3-1 without Wiggs this year. They're scoring 122 a game, and their assists have skyrocketed to 33. And you've seen when the Warriors are assisting a lot, it usually means that things are flowing really well. The pace and space is back, and the offense is humming. So that made me think about the over initially for this game, but I feel like it's kind of a trap after the Nets have played really fast in their last 4. They went over in 3 straight. They had Ben Simmons for 2 of those, and he's just out there pushing the pace no matter what. Now at home, I think maybe it slows down a little bit. I think the over is definitely still in play, though, if you do want to add that with the Warriors, but I more trust them to score on a defense that doesn't have much outside of Nick Claxton. I mean, you don't attack him. You shoot from deep, and you find some success against this team. The Nets had gone over in 5 of their previous 6 at home against the Western Conference. I think that's more of an invective on their defense than faith in their offense necessarily. So just give me the Warriors here, and let's not mess around with the total.
Yeah, both of these teams have bit me a couple times in recent past, and I don't have a strong hold on the Nets because I do think there's some weird sort of like letdown scenarios for them. There's some instances where it's like, okay, they're rolling, which kind of feels like they are right now. What's going to happen next? How is this shoe going to drop? When's it going to fall? And it does feel like, look, I want to say that the Warriors are going to turn things around. They've been so freaking bad in the clutch, man, that it's really just tough to buy into them. They've got more blown leads. They've got more losses with less than 5 points, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I know it's a small spread and all the rest, but I don't have any faith in Steve Kerr, to be honest with you. And people can question that, but I have been watching enough of his late game and in-game coaching to go, what are we doing here with this rotation? Why are we beating you over the head to play Jonathan Kuminga? You're clearly only athlete on the team, right? Like, so I just don't know if I trust him in those situations to play the right guy and all that kind of stuff. But in retrospect, they should at least be able to keep this game close and potentially pull it out. But let me go to a game that I'm going to split my unit and talk about the Hawks and these Clippers, man. Best team in the NBA, Clippers. I mean, over the course of the last 15 games, they're up there in net rating. They're up there with the top O rating. The D rating is still really, really good as well. They have been a little bit more of an offensive-minded team. So I'm going to take the over 242.5, and I'm going to also split that unit with a half on Atlanta to cover 3.5. And it's just a fishy line in a way that's like, I'm going to start believing in Atlanta a bit more. Now, I think they're going to continue to be the team we've seen for 3 seasons in a row where they've had, 12-game win streak, 8-game lose streak, 12-game win streak, 8-game lose streak. They've done that for the last 3 seasons where they've been a streaky team like that. And I do think they're riding one of those, hot waves, if you will, in part because their offense is so good. They're 5-2 straight up in their last 7 home games. The teams they beat: Orlando, the Dubs, the Suns, the Lakers, and the Raptors. And as soon as I saw this 3.5 spread, I was like, this is heavy Phoenix Suns game vibes that they just played, a 3.5 underdog at home versus Phoenix in a highly competitive offensive game for sure. Zubac came back for the Clips and played a little bit last night. We saw. I don't know what has that means for him tonight. What's going to be in store for his minutes? Where he just came off of obviously minutes restriction after one game, and it's the second leg of a back-to-back. The likelihood that he doesn't play, we don't have a lineup injury report yet, but the likelihood that he doesn't play is kind of high as well. And down low, like Clint Capella's kind of been a beast over the last 7 to 10 games, especially at home. This team has the number 9 defensive field goal percentage at the rim. They have been getting a bunch of offensive rebounds as well over the course of their last 7 games. Their offensive rating, number 1 in their last 5, up at about 126, and a 121 defensive rating, because their games are averaging about 246 in that time frame. But like I said, too, the over is a better play here. It did get bet down a couple points. And when these teams have faced each other in recent past, where they both had their same, teams in, and one of them was on a back-to-back last year as well, you're talking about a bit of slightly slower pace. These games actually averaged a lot lower, even in Atlanta. The game only totaled 231 in that one. So it does make me a bit nervous to go the Clips on a back-to-back here. They've shown a propensity to score points, but averaging about less than 120 as well. So it does seem like they might want to keep this a bit slower, but I don't think they're going to have much success stopping what Atlanta wants to do. Atlanta scoring a bunch in the corners and in the mid-range. That has been available if you are, if you're playing the Clippers more than anything. Of course, with Zubac in or with Zubac out, you can get to the lane, into the rim a bit more. And I think that for Trey, either the above the break 3 or that pick and roll with Capella and even Okongwu, to agree, will be there for them if the Clippers front court is a bit thin.
Yeah, I think I like the over more here. I just don't want to fade the Clippers in the year of our Lord 2024 here. I mean, they are a machine, and they've come with it on back-to-backs recently too, including that decisive win in Boston. But if you take an over in the Hawks in a Hawks home game, especially right now when their offense is rolling, you're probably going to hit more often than not. This game has 2 of the best 5 passers in the league, I think you can say handily. And yeah, they're scoring from the corner because Trae Young's whipping that thing over there. Yeah. Harden's going to be doing the same. It's going to be a lot of open shots, a lot of back and forth, and probably, the Hawks mindset, which is you might score, and then we'll go down there and score again and get this thing around 250 for the total. So I'll take the Cavs here for the second pick. -4.5. It's down about 1.5 or 2 points because Jared Allen is legitimately questionable. But they do have Evan Mobley back to throw at Domantas Sabonis if Allen does miss here. The Cavs have been dealing with guys out, Mobley and Garland, of course. Garland's back on a minutes restriction here, but they just plug people in and play a really good defensive system as a team, limiting the things you want to limit, of course. During this 13-1 stretch where their only loss was to Milwaukee after that new coach lift. They have the number 1 defensive rating. They're holding opponents to 34% from 3 and 8-0 at home in that stretch. They've won 12 of their last 14 at home, and only 1 game has been let by less than 5 points. They win, and they win it rather decisively. So I don't think there's that much worry about the spread here. And the Kings, the road Kings, they've done well here on this road trip. They're 5-1, and they've stopped being the team you can just fade automatically on the road. But game 7 of a long road trip at a team that just does not give it up at home. 3rd game in 4 nights. And you look at some of these numbers, they're the 4th highest assist rate on their threes. The Kings are. They got to move the ball around. Well, Cleveland allows the fewest assists. They also hold teams down from the 3-point line. Kings shoot just 33% from 3 in losses versus 38% in wins. It's not just about Fox and Sabonis. Those guys might get theirs, but I just don't see anybody else cooking. Could you possibly see a good Kevin Huerter game in Cleveland here? Not likely. If it's low scoring, Kings tend to lose these low scoring games, and the Cavs are more than comfortable playing a low score, playing an under, and the Kings trend under on the road. So I just like the Cavs.
I agree. I'm just confused why this has been bet up by 5 points. Somebody knows something about that total. I don't think it's the total like going over necessarily screws the Cavs. Like if anything, it kind of indicates that the Cavs people expect the Cavs to score a bunch in this game. And I mean, I would agree. The Jared Allen stuff is kind of weird because really the only things that we have to look at for when the Cavs have been awesome was Jared Allen, no Mobley. But there is still something to the idea of Mobley, no Allen, and the fact that clearly, I mean, to me, it's clear that they just haven't worked together on the floor at the same time together. So the offense actually does tend to maybe exceed expectations when it's got just one of those guys as opposed to both of them on the floor. And yeah, the no Jared Allen would lead to a few more points. But yeah, if Domas is the sort of key to things here, then it does slow things down in general. And once you get a little bit choppier, then yeah, you are going to be able to have the Cavs sort of strengths rise to the top, if you will. So let me close it out with just a same game parlay here because I am going to talk about Kyrie Irving. But I wanted to make sure I talked about Tyrese Maxey as well. So I'm taking both these dudes to duel it out in a point guard shootout with the Mavs taking on the 76ers here in a team that is both teams are depleted. So I'm going to take 30 plus for both of them and put a half a unit on it for plus 225 and have some fun to kick off our week with the expectation that Luka's not going to play. He's listed as questionable. He has props up at like 36.5 points. He also hurt a pop in his ankle when Giannis Antetokounmpo fell on it. So I just don't know how he gets into this game. If he does play, I got to assume he's limited. Maybe you like assist more for him and you let Kyrie do a lot of the damage. I don't know why you shoot up Luka Doncic's ankle to play in a game against the Embiidless 76ers at the beginning of February. It does not seem like a good idea. But, I'm not the Mavs front office. That's for damn sure. Let's just talk about a little bit why, like, these two dudes are going up in the just ideal matchups. Both teams terrible against guarding point guards, have been that way. DeAnthony Melton out for this the 76ers has led directly to whomever is the primary guard, as they call them in some teams now. There's fewer point guard, shooting guard nomenclatures, a lot more primary guard. And primary guard for sure is obviously Tyrese Maxey, and in this case, what I believe to be Kyrie Irving. So with Derek Lively and Joel Embiid both out, we're also talking about two rims that are going to be just wide open for you. B-Ball Paul ain't doing much. Shout out Mo Bamba. Had a really good game defending the rim, actually, not that long ago. Kind of looked Embiid-ish around the rim the way he was moving, and he's gotten a little bit of weight on him, too. He's much bigger. So, like, he might be better at rim protection than we really want to give him credit for, but I'm still going to go ahead and take Kyrie Irving driving to the basket and finishing with one of his fancy layups over Mo Bamba, to be honest with you. And I might even consider it a decent matchup with Joel, but Joel's, as I've been talking about all season, a top 5 center in terms of protecting the rim. He's taking on more shots than any center at the rim, and that's why he's got so many field goal attempts against him inside of 5 feet. But he's got a top 5 defensive field goal percentage against him when he's in. This team has a top 5 defensive field goal percentage in the last 5 games, of which he's played like basically one total. If you cobble together all his minutes in multiple games, right, they are 28th in defensive field goal percentage at the rim. Everything that Kyrie's going to want to do, mid-range stuff, as soon as he steps inside the three-point line, and everything driving to the rim. He's going to have everything in 15 feet and in at his disposal, with B-Ball Paul playing probably like 15-ish minutes. Right, we're going to see plenty of Mo Bamba as well. He played like 17, 20 minutes. They're just cobbling together lineups to try to protect that rim, and it's just not working. It's a big reason the mid-range has been there as well. They are selling out on the three-point a little bit, which you might think would help against Dallas the way that Philly's going to sell out against the three-point line, but like, that's all Dallas does. Like, they're going to have 5 shooters on the floor at all times with Derek Lively, really the only dude in their rotation that can't shoot threes, to be honest with you. So there is a good reason to believe that guys that are going to be open more in the corner off of Kyrie will have some shots as well. So I think it's a good matchup for both these guys. And as far as Tyrese goes, like I just said, Dallas has been awful at defending the rim the entire season. So Tyrese is going to get to the free throw line. The 3-point defense for Dallas haven't really been running people off of that either over their last 10 in the bottom half of the league, defending the 3-point line. So Tyrese Maxey, I mean, if you want the with and without numbers for these guys, right? Kyrie without Luka, talking about 31 a game. Tyrese without Joel in his last 10 or last 5 this season without Joel, like 33 a game. So we're feeling pretty good about these guys to get their points and get us a nice little plus 225.
I agree with everything you said. I think you can also throw in Tobias Harris 20 points. I mean, because there's just such few options here in terms of scoring the basketball and creating a shot for either team. Tobias in his last 8 without Joel, averaging 24. You take away the game in Portland that they just literally
Right.
punted. He's averaging 26 a game. So throw him in there for 20. Maybe you want to move one of these guys or both down to 25, and then you get maybe about the same odds. But I
Interesting.
don't think Dallas has any stoppers on the wing, and I think Philly now adjusting to the new life here without Embiid for probably maybe the rest of the regular season, like
Yeah.
long time. So it's got to be like, all right, what can we do with Maxey and Tobias as our number top two options?
Yeah. Yeah. When we hear things like 6 to 8 weeks, it's like, well, that's when the playoffs start. So yeah, it starts to get a little dicey for Joel's return, but both guys should be able to score. Tobias is still questionable, I believe. I'm not sure. I didn't look deeper into that. If he is expected to play, definitely, obviously, a good matchup as well for them. Power forwards and the like scoring. Everybody scores against Dallas. So that's all the time we have for you in Best Bets. Continue to follow along if you would. We've also got Play a Props up for you as we do each and every weekday. So until we see you next, happy betting.